Good evening. Welcome to the meeting of the Skokie Village Board for Monday, April 3rd, 2023. This evening, we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Village Clerk Pramod Shah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The meeting will come to order, and the clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Sutkar.
Here.
Trustee Robinson is going to be absent today. Trustee Kuhn.
Here.
Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Pure-Slovan.
Here.
Trustee Klein. Here. Mayor Van Dusen.
Here, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda for this evening's meeting. A motion, Trustee Pure-Slovan, Trustee Sutkar seconds. Is there anything anybody wishes removed? Yes.
I'd like to remove two things. I'd like to remove 8A, the Plan Commission appointment of Vijay Gupta, and I'd like to remove 8C, the Zoning Board resignation of Vijay Gupta.
Okay, 8C. Okay. Is there anything else anybody would like to? If not, call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutkar.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Aye. Trustee Kuhn.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Pure-Slovan. Aye. Trustee Klein. Aye. Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the Beautification and Improvement Commission Awards. Bob Quinn, Chairman.
Hello and good evening, everyone. You know, it's that time of the year for the village and the Beautification Commission and Improvement Commission to recognize and thank property owners who've gone above and beyond to beautify their property. Our collective congratulations are extended to all the residents that were nominated for consideration for the recognition tonight. To our winners, your effort to beautify your property is exemplary and an inspiration for the residents of Skokie to follow. I also want to thank the people and members of our commission for their hard work to help us get here today. The work, organization, and focus of our staff liaison and village forester was integral to the successful culmination of this signature program. And to our members, George Hubchek, Valerie Schumann, Fred Liesewitz, and Sherwin Ditlove, who devoted their time to coordinate, scout, document, and judge numerous properties. Thank you. At this time, Valerie Schumann, our subcommittee chair on our new initiative subcommittee, will give you a brief introduction on the brand new 2023 awards program. After that, we'll show a video vignette of winning properties, and then our commission co-vice chair, Mitchell Sandler, will announce the award winners, and they'll need to come forward for their certificate of appreciation and have a photograph taken. And you'll come around this way when you do that. Okay, Valerie?
Okay, I'm very excited to announce the updated Beautification Awards program. The team worked really hard last year, and there's a whole lot of people here that did all this work, to modernize the awards criteria with a focus on sustainable practices that's so important right now. So not only did we kind of tune the criteria by which we will be doing the judging, we also added 3 new awards categories. We've got Pollinator Pantry, for those who put stuff in the front yard that is food and habitat for butterflies, bees, and all the other important pollinators in our environment. More butterflies, what could possibly go wrong with that? Like it. Edible garden, integrating food for people, like herbs, fruit trees, those kinds of things. Why not? Let's get those going out there too. And we've also got a new category called Skokie's Best. So the top 5 overall, you have an opportunity to compete to be recognized as the best in Skokie now. So let's get a little competition going on. And to make that a little more visible in our community, we've also made a big change to the schedule. The 2023 award winners will get their awards in 2023. And we have a spiffy new yard sign that you can put out. You don't have to, but you can. The 2023 award winners will get the spiffy sign, and you can put them out to help inspire others in our community to do the same kinds of exciting things that you are doing. So we have lots more information on all the details of all this on the website. And I think we're still adding information, so if you don't see everything there, it's coming. But there's also a lot of commission members in the room tonight. You guys want to raise your hands? These are the folks that did all this work. So if you have questions, ask them. All right, thank you all for the moment.
Thank you.
So right now, you'll see the 2022 winners. Now our Vice Chair, Mitchell Sandler, will announce the winners. And if you'll step forward for your certificate and/or plaque, and be ready for a photograph, and then the mayor can step down.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to announce the winners alphabetically. However, before we get into the alphabetical winners, we'd like to acknowledge the top 3 winners in particular, starting with Dennis Murawski and Judy Yang Murawski. Come forward, please. They had the top score among all of the scored participants. Second was Judith Holman. Third highest was Javier and Leticia Montoya. Of the remaining winners, we're going to go alphabetically. Some people came in late. If I missed your name, then we'll get back to you at the end of the list. Please let me know. Also, if I mispronounce a name, please bear with me. Nick and Patricia Bassan. Patricia Browder. Abe and Floraville Balaklik. Simone and Stephen Goodman. Rich Isaac and Linda Schwartz. To show the award. There you go. Robert and Victoria Caprellian. Russell Kadahira. Barbara Kenning. Klosatsky is next.
Hi, neighbor. It wasn't a ringer, though.
Okay, neighbor. Two, three, say cheese.
Yeah. Michael Klosatsky and Abby Coley.
Okay, guys. Bob, squeeze in, please. All right. One, two, three, say cheese. Cheese.
Jim Losick and Laura Cowell. Don and Cher McCrimmon.
Okay, guys, give me your best smile around here. One, two, three, say cheese. Cheese. Got it.
Tony and Lisa Mullenix.
One, two, three, say cheese. Got it.
Matilda Nuvizhndomsky. The next one's easy. Next one's easy.
Beautiful. One, two, three, cheese.
Michael Perry.
Do it again. Got it. Okay, fellas. The count of three, right here on the camera. One, two, three, say cheese. Got it.
Mary Pearson. Jeremias and Virginia Zabit, and Carolyn and Erwin Malangot, my apologies.
Where's the mirror? You want to cut him off there. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Got it.
Are there any other winners who came in and whose names I missed? Okay.
Again, congratulations, everyone. That concludes our awards program. However, for all those here for the awards program, the winners and their family and friends, we have a little reception here with some treats and some coffee. If you just go down the hallway on the other side of this wall, and it's in the lunchroom just down this hallway. We'd love to have you come by and spend some time with us for a little bit. Thank you.
Fred Moore. Fred, this evening, Fred was appointed to the Public Safety Commission. Thank you for agreeing to serve. We will put you to work right away, I promise you. As you can see, the commissions are part of the heartbeat of the village of Skokie, and they do very important work. And so thank you very much for your willingness to serve. We appreciate it. And next item on the agenda is appointments. Trustee Johnson. And I do want to thank Trustee Johnson for being the staff liaison to the Beautification Commission and working on the awards this evening.
Also, you had called Will. He is here. Yeah.
Will, stand up. Will was appointed to the Beautification Commission, so thank you, Will.
I had taken these two items off the consent agenda. They're both related to the same commissioner, just because I was wanting to ask the board to consider tabling this plan commission nomination until at least our next meeting. Personally, I don't think we're following really best practices here. So on our agenda tonight, we're creating a vacancy on the plan commission, and we're also filling the vacancy at the exact same time. So there's really been no kind of public notice whatsoever that there even is a vacancy on the plan commission. Right now, if you look at our village website, it says there are 0 vacancies on the plan commission. Yet there's an appointment on our agenda tonight. I also just wanted to note that kind of before a commissioner appointment, the trustees now usually receive a copy of the application of the person that's been nominated. In the case tonight, the application that we received was from over 8 years ago.
Yep, I'll explain.
Okay, so if I can, just because I think it's more appropriate to not kind of create a vacancy and fill it at the same meeting, to create kind of some space where we can invite people to apply. I'd like to make a motion. I move that this plan commission appointment be tabled until our next village board meeting in order to open the appointment process to new applicants.
The motion dies for lack of a second. But let me explain. Mr. Gupta is a rather extraordinary individual. His depth of experience meets not only all of the marks that you would want in a plan commissioner, I think he even exceeds it. He was the principal structural engineer for the Water Reclamation District. He holds a master's degree in structural engineering. And the reason I didn't ask him to fill out the same application form is because he had already filled it out. What changed is the fact that he had been appointed to the Sustainability Commission, where he served for 5 years. And for the past 2 years, he's been on the Zoning Board of Appeals. So he has in-depth plan experience through his professional work at the Water Reclamation District. He has considerable sustainability experience through his work at the Water Reclamation District and through his work on the Villages Commission. And I think he is deserving. He has wanted to be on the Plan Commission for 8 years, and he has patiently gathered the experience in sustainability and planning. And if you look at the application, you'll see that his preference had been to be on the Plan Commission, secondly, the Zoning Board, and third, the Sustainability Commission. And he accepted an appointment to the Sustainability Commission. He did a good job for us there, and he also has done a good job for the village on the ZBA. I think he's deserving of the appointment, and I would ask for a motion to appoint Vijay Gupta to the Plan Commission and to accept the resignation of Mike Shaw from the Plan Commission. A motion would be in order. Trustee Sutker, seconded by Trustee Klein.
If I
I'm
may-
sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to add. Well, my comments. I'm not questioning Mr. Gupta's qualifications. It's really a process question. So really, kind of a question for the board is it appropriate for us to create a commission vacancy and fill it in the same meeting without advertising that there is a vacancy?
But we did get applications. I have 2 other applications that were made in addition to this. And Mr. all commissions are open, whether there is a vacancy or not. Anybody can apply for any commission. And one of the things we do on the commission application is we ask for 3 preferences, a first choice, a second choice, and a third choice. Some people put zoning board first, plan commission second, others put human relations, family services, etc. And as opportunities become available, I make recommendations to the board. I try as best possible to interview everybody, and when I do interview people, if their first or even their second choice is not open as a vacancy, I will frequently ask somebody, would you like to work on public safety for a couple of years, and if a vacancy occurs, you would be considered for this commission. So in a sense, there are no real vacancies. In fact, there were two people who wanted to be on a particular commission, sustainability. In fact, there are no official openings. I asked them if they would be interested in public safety. They both said yes, and the board did appoint them to the Public Safety Commission. But I've told both of them, if an opening comes about on sustainability, I would certainly reconsider their applications. So, of course, yes, come up to the microphone and give us your name, please.
Hi, thank you. Rachel Van Hoos. I did not even come tonight to comment on this kind of hot topic of appointments and such that hopefully will be on a future agenda. But I had a very personal experience since your last board meeting. I watched all the board meetings. I noted the agenda last week, looked a little boring, but of interest to me was that somebody was leaving the Technology and Telecommunications Commission. My husband is a technical director. He's a genius. He runs conventions all over the world. He's the person that walks in and makes everything happen, from the planning to execution. He's brilliant. I tell the husband, you should apply for this commission. Look online, it's a short application. I called the village. They put me through to the mayor's office. I spoke to, I believe, Vicky, and I'm told this position is filled. And it makes no sense to me. I understand the whole process, and I hope when the discussion does come up, you all think of these processes as being for our future, so that in the future, we don't have just one person. Your judgment and this person's qualifications, I trust in that, but the process is deeply flawed. So I was very taken aback. I wish I had my notes when I was on the phone with her of the things that she told me, because they were shocking. And it was what you described. Well, he could apply to be on another commission and maybe wait there until, if the mayor wants him on it, then he could be on the technology one, but then that one's filled. The application, I think she said, had been there for 4 months, but yet it shows there's no vacancy, and that person had just left at the last board meeting, and I took note of that. My husband is more than qualified, and the conversation I had was incredibly discouraging. So, whatever happens tonight with Planning Commission, it is what it is, but in the future, I really hope you all see that there needs to be a more thorough, transparent process, because this isn't it.
Would you leave your name and phone number? Sure. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
I have a public comment.
Oh, okay.
I did actually come to speak on this appointment. I feel like we were here just, what was it, a month ago? And I did FOIA the applications. Truth, I looked at them quickly when I got the applications. And today I printed them. My hair is still wet. I had decided I wasn't coming to the meeting, then I was coming to the meeting. And just in the time that the last speaker was speaking, I counted 3 Plan Commission applications in the year 2023. To me, an outsider, and I do not need an explanation, it looks like an opening comes, it's a secret, and somebody is handpicked for that position. Because once again, there's no application for Steve Berman. There was no application for the person who's being appointed tonight. A position opens, it's not advertised. Me, myself, and I, if I wanted to serve somewhere and it said there were no vacancies, I would apply for places where there are vacancies. To assume that the public understands that they could apply for something and maybe a spot will become available in 8 years is not a transparent process. And again, there are people who are not on the inside who are trying to become an active part of their community. And then on election day, I was talking to somebody, and so one of you sitting up there, your spouse, said there's other ways to do this. There are commissions. And I looked at her and I said, I know people who have applied to get on commissions, and they have not gotten on the commissions, and they have been highly qualified. And I understand Joe Biden and Joe Pritzker, and I don't need to hear all of that. We are one community, and it feels like you are not open to allowing new voices in.
Well, if you look at the appointments for this evening, that is anything but the case. I don't know Mr. Moore. I did know Mr. Owen. Mr. Oni Page, I knew from the chamber.
I have said this in the past,
That is
and
it.
I'm gonna repeat it again. There are certain commissions you have a hold on, that you reach out to Steve Berman when there's an opening and ask him to fill it. There's an opening here and you go back to an application from 8 years ago when you've been getting applications, at least 3 of them in the last 3 months. That's all that I'm saying. There's certain commissions that, it's not true of all the commissions. I've been specifically speaking about the Plan Commission for several meetings.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker,
Aye.
trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
trustee Johnson,
I vote nay.
trustee Pure Slovan. Aye. Trustee Klein. Aye. Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes. Next item on the agenda is report of our village manager, John Lockerbie.
Thank you, Mayor Van Dusen and trustees. Good evening, everyone. Item A is regarding a resolution for private side cost sharing of lead water service line replacements. Following a budget hearing discussion in April of 2022 and further discussions at the January 17th and March 20th village board meetings, staff recommended the village adopt a cost sharing approach regarding the mandatory replacement of private lead water services under the Illinois Lead Services Line Replacement and Notifications Act. I concur with staff's recommendation. Mayor and board approval of the resolution approving and authorizing the lead line replacement program is respectfully requested.
A motion confirming the manager's suggestion for a resolution approving and authorizing the lead line replacement program would be in order. Trustee Johnson, seconded by trustee Klein. Are there any comments or any questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
Ralph.
just have a quick question. I have not dove into the budget yet. How much do we have for this year in the project?
So it's approximately 200, well, I shouldn't do this from memory. I don't, Max or Russ, if you want to respond.
Which one of you remembers the budget figure? I was looking at the budget officer next to you. That's why I'm chuckling.
So this year it's included within the capital improvement project, is my recollection of the budget. And so there's a water main project that is going to be, is scheduled to be completed this summer. And that has approximately 230 or 130 service lines on it.
The total estimated services to be impacted is 239, and we estimate 141 or so will be lead.
So I had,
So you want to service this year 141 residents.
correct.
Do we have the funds in the budget for 141.
We do.
Okay. And now, what about people who have already done their own and replaced their own? Is there any place in this for them?
So the act was effective with a specific date, January 1 of 2022. And so there is not a retro perspective on what is being recommended.
Thank you, John.
Any,
I think Lauren wants it.
yes.
I was looking over the proposal, and this is not a comment, this is a question. It was saying that the cost share of the homeowner would be $3,000 per replacement. Is there any kind of procedure for people to apply for help with that?
Yes, and so it's anticipated that a service line, typical service line replacement is more than double that cost, and so the village is aware in designing the program to be, aware of the financial consequences of the program, and so the $3,000 can be paid upfront by the property owner, or it can be paid through a payment program over 15 years, and so the quarterly bill is approximately $50, and then in addition to that, the village offers a grant or a loan program depending on financial situations that is already in place for people to remain in their homes if they have some repair work that needs to be done. And so there's a separate program in place, and this is an item that's eligible for that program.
15 years, same as kids.
So that's a good point, trustee. And so the payment plan option does have a 1% interest applied to it. And so the intent is not to have a penalty, but there is a cost to money. And so in order for people to not just automatically opt into the payment program, there is a slight interest applied to the program for long-term payments.
If you would ask me, I would have said more, but.
Tonight's the night.
I take it that wasn't the motion. I don't think you're
No,
gonna get
no,
a
no,
second. Any other comments or questions? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker,
Aye.
trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
trustee Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Pure trustee Klein,
Aye.
Mayor Hendricks.
Aye, the motion passes.
Item B is regarding the hotel project, promissory note, public-private partnership. And so the village has been presented with the opportunity to join other partners in bringing the downtown Skokie Homewood Suites by Hilton Hotel and Conference Center to completion. The current challenging market factors, such as significant cost escalations for construction materials, labor shortages, and changing capital markets, including fluctuating interest rates, have impacted the project's finances. Staff is recommending the village provide a promissory note up to $4.5 million from the village's Economic Development Fund as a public-private partnership. The loan would yield a guaranteed return of 12% annually, which equates to $540,000 to the village until repayment. 50% of the returns will be dedicated to environmental sustainability plan initiatives or other board priorities, and the remainder will go back to the Economic Development Fund. The hotel is an essential and exciting component of the future downtown, as it is projected to bring approximately 100,000 patrons to the downtown, which will benefit all current and future businesses. I concur with staff's recommendation and respectfully request the mayor and board authorize the village manager to execute a promissory note as a public-private partnership with the downtown hotel.
A motion would be in order, trustee Sutker, seconded by trustee Pure Slovan. Are there any comments or questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Louis Mercer, and I'm here to speak to some concerns I have over the proposed $4.5 million loan to E&M and the downtown Hilton hotel development. My first concern is that our village is not a bank, and therefore, if we choose to invest tax dollars into a private company, it doesn't feel like we would have the same kinds of protections and guarantees that a bank has. I certainly may be wrong. I'm not a banker, but last time I checked, most of you aren't either. I assume the village staff did some research, but I'm not sure that they went through the same kind of vetting a bank does when the company comes to secure a loan from them. And because the village is now proposing to give out a loan, and me being the loaner, being a taxpayer, it is certainly concerning to me that the developer that you are proposing to lend the money to is now seeking millions of dollars because they did not budget for supply and labor issues that could have been easily anticipated when this development was finalized with the village in January of 2021, in the height of the pandemic, when the world supply chain and labor market was essentially shut down. My second concern is that the developer has approached the village for more money than they already have been allocated, $13.5 million from the TIF district funds. The creation of the TIF district is, for me, problematic enough with its negative long-term impacts on tax dollars for schools, parks, and services, but the benefit of a TIF district is that the development within them is not on the backs of the taxpayer dollars throughout the village. These $4.5 million come from the village's development funds, which come directly from everyone's taxpayer dollars. Yes, you claim that this will actually be an investment on these dollars, but again, I come back to my first concern, which is relevant here. Where is the transparency for me as a taxpayer and for us as taxpayers to show us that this developer is solvent? Also, we are setting a dangerous precedent if we are starting to gamble the village's taxpayer dollars on private developers rather than directly taking those funds and putting them into new projects in areas that need it. Areas like Main Street west of Crawford in my school district, 73.5, which is the definition of blighted. Or we could take these funds and jumpstart the development of affordable housing, something that the village has recently identified as essential and vital. You might say the loan will secure us 12% interest annually so we can fund a sustainability plan for the long term. That sounds great. But I say if you have $4.5 million right now to invest it in sustainability right now. And your return on investment will be less greenhouse emissions, cleaner air, cleaner water, and safer environment for our kids starting now. Or take that $4.5 million and invest it in affordable housing, and your return on investment will be residents that feel secure and welcome in Skokie for generations to come. Finally, it deeply concerns me that E&M and its CEO, Mark Mayer, are donors to the Skokie Caucus Party, and they are now poised to receive an unprecedented loan voted on by a village board dominated by that same party. Without more transparency, this continues to add to the mounting evidence, along with the Carvana Tower, the open meetings violations, the attempt to block a citizen-led election reform effort, the attempted bribery of a candidate for village board, and tonight, the appointment of a plan commissioner without sufficient time for the village to open the process to all willing applicants. The Skokie Caucus Party seems to have a penchant for making sweetheart deals and skirting the norms of ethical governance. This is truly disheartening that I have to keep coming back to this board and keep saying it to you. This smacks of corruption. And I encourage the board not to make this unprecedented loan and to reveal how and why this loan was conceived of so that we can get some answers about this developer and their interests. Thank you.
Hi, Rachel Van Hoos. Sorry I never have a written speech. I'm not a banker either, but my mother-in-law is. She just bought her second home on Oakton. She moved here from Ohio so she could be close to the grandchildren. So this Hilton thing is something I have always supported. And I remember the contentious meetings and went back and reviewed them and the publicly read letters and comments. And funny enough, some of those things have come to fruition. The sustainability plan and tonight's proclamation on affordable housing are things people asked for back in January 2021 when this was approved. My understanding, though, was that it was in planning. This is a whole different board than for many years before. But looking back, E&M showed an interest in building this hotel in 2016. E&M was formed in 2016. They don't have a project standing that I see. I see a proposed one in Pullman. We went to Pullman, New National Park on spring break. It was excellent. I don't see them building a new hotel down there if they're asking for more money. But I want to say I support this hotel being built. I need this hotel to be next to my mother-in-law's house, for my relatives to come and visit, so they can take the train downtown. I'm so for this. I don't want you to think I'm against this Hilton, but it's so questionable. The TIF district, yes, $12.5 million, you've given 8.5 to it. I presume the rest is left for the parking lot and the garage and the rest, whatever. Supposed to be a $45 million investment by the companies in this Hilton. Have these companies put up their $45 million investment? We know the cost of everything has gone up. All of our groceries went up. Every single person that's building a building, all their costs of materials have gone up. And there's not a labor shortage. I believe this to be a shortage in labor dollars they're looking for, because I've seen construction. I go past there 6-8 times a day. I go park at the building next door once a week to get my mother-in-law's mail. I'm terrified of cranes, so I always know what's going on. There's no one working on that building right now. So who dropped the ball? There's a big banner out there. We have E&M, the lead developer, but Russell is the contractor, right? So Hilton. Then we have this hotel, in all of your news and meetings and minutes, was supposed to hopefully open early 2022. Groundbreaking didn't happen until fall of 2022. You were there with Maverick Hotel Operations. The man, it said in the thing, Mayor Van Duzen met with him as Robert Habib. His name is Richard Habib. Maverick was formed 1 month prior. 1 month before the groundbreaking, the company that's going to do the hotel operations was formed. We have the owner's rep here. We have Excalibur Capital, and Castle Green Finance. They own each other. I mean, the changing markets, all of this, I don't understand. These are our tax dollars. You can't just poo-poo away $4.5 million and make it make sense. Show us first the $45 million that we were told was going to be invested into that Hilton, into our downtown by these developers. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
As a reminder, in 2014, since 2014, the building that was on this site was vacant, and so it was demolished, and the hotel is planned for the downtown. It's similar to the train station, the impact that it'll have for the downtown in having additional patrons for the businesses that exist. So there is an additional package of financing that is being developed for the hotel, and the village has the opportunity to be one of those partners in the additional financing. The village will be treated like any other partner with the return on investment. The project hospitality has struggled since COVID, during COVID. The existing hotels as well as ones that were planned or were being constructed. And so for the hotel in our downtown to be at the stage that it is, where it has been topped off with the 8 floors of construction following COVID is remarkable. But the project has experienced some challenges. And so there's an opportunity before us in order to participate in the additional partnerships that are required to complete the construction. And so that's what is before the board this evening.
Are there any other comments or questions? Trustee Johnson.
Can you say a little more about just kind of the origin of this proposal and kind of how this proposal came to us?
So, and there's been a team of us working on this. Lynn Becker is in the audience, the Economic Development Manager, and Julian Prindy, the Finance Director, and several other staff members as well. But so the developer and the developer's rep, or the owner's rep, identified cost overruns. And so contracts that were in place had escalation clauses that allowed for costs to be increased if certain conditions occurred. And so a number of the materials that were being utilized during construction had changing prices and quickly changing prices, and unfortunately, the prices were increasing as opposed to decreasing. And so as the developer was managing those things, he was working closely with the general contractor, who is one of the partners of the project as well, in order to manage those the best that they could. But it was challenging times, and construction on a elevated building started, and so there were expenses that needed to be addressed. In addition to that, the capital market was going in the wrong direction. The interest rates that have occurred over the recent past are, again, going in the wrong direction. There are increases. And so as the developer was working to solve cost overruns with value engineering and with looking at alternatives, he also approached the village and let us know of the challenges that he was having. And so this really has been a conversation that has been occurring during 2023.
You should let Leonard Green know.
In terms of just necessity, like to what extent is this loan necessary? Does this project depend on this loan?
So the project needs additional funding, and so if the village chooses not to participate, then there has to be additional funding secured. We are not the only part of this additional funding that is being sought, and so the developer is looking at additional equity partners. He's looking at additional program through the federal government, and he's looking at additional financing options. And so the expediency of how the funds are secured helps the project. And so if the village so chooses to participate as a partner and we move sooner rather than later, that helps leverage other potential participation, which helps solve the problem sooner rather than later. And so with construction, prices don't go down, and so if things get delayed, then the total cost to complete the project increases. And so there's value in the village participating if we so choose, but the problem will be solved one way or another if we don't participate.
So if
It's also, you mentioned secured loan.
It is, and I'm going to ask the Corporation Council to respond to that, the secured loan aspect.
So in addition to a note, which is part of this exhibit tonight, there would be a mortgage as well, a lengthy mortgage on the property. Obviously, it's subordinated, but it is a note on the property, and it will need to be approved by the other lenders, the lenders who are in front of us, which would be one at this time, probably two. But we would be secured on the land if there was a failure of the project. I don't think anyone's going to start moving until there's assurancy that there is money in place to cover the current shortfall. And the shortfall is identified, we would not go forward. I mean, the approval tonight does not mean we're releasing this money until we know we have the mortgage in place and until we see that the other lenders are in place. I assume that's the intention here.
That's correct, part of the total package.
Sorry, one more comment. I meant they should ask Castle Green. They should ask their capital partners. I don't care about their interest rates. I would like you to stop framing this as like an opportunity, and and I also, I mean, it's recorded on YouTube. No offense, Mr. Lockerbie. When you were talking about the project and the developer, you were saying he needs this. We know that E&M is not a large developer. Can we just call a spade a spade? I mean, we're giving $4.5 million to one man who can't pull off his project. And the cost of building materials going up, I don't care. I work in the West Fulton Market near the Hotel Emily. I've seen 5 buildings glow up, straight glass, and 3 more coming up the other direction. I don't care what their materials cost. They should go get capital from their capital partners. Why from us? $4.5 million. This is the night before an election. People are really involved with school boards and things like that. This is not going to bode well. It doesn't, I believe that this developer is not capable of pulling off this project. I don't think they have the experience, and I don't think they have the money. The other words, their capital partners who are on the banner out in front of the Hilton would be providing them with $4.5 million. It's pennies to them, but it's our tax money.
May I ask, what is the precedent for an action like this? Has the village done anything quite like this in the past?
I'm going to ask the finance director, Julian Prendy, to respond.
Good evening, trustees. There's not really a applicable precedent that I can recall, certainly in my tenure, but even before, as I know, we've struggled with development in the downtown area for several years, and I don't ever recall a project that we valued as highly coming in. Just as a note, this project is anticipated to bring in $1.3 million in property taxes a year, $600,000 in combined food and beverage and sales and hotel tax a year. So we see this project long-term. We recognize its value, and this is an unusual circumstance. I don't know that I have a precedent to give you, but such is the value of the development and our partnership in this, that we feel strongly this is the right path to go.
Well, kind of the flip side of the question about precedents is kind of what precedent is this set for the future? Like, kind of, I feel like this kind of opens the question of under what conditions will the board consider loans like this in the future?
Well, we have had previous examples. One would be the tax increment financing district for the research park. When Forest City decided that it was going to purchase the property, it was contingent on the village putting in $10 million into the project. In addition to that, the state of Illinois then put in $15 million. I don't think there's any question that the research park has been an enormous success. In the neighborhood of 1,600 to 1,700 jobs. Approximately 20 different companies have been attracted to the park. The sales tax alone that comes from the employees there coming to our different restaurants. And let me point out that the hotel is a part and parcel of the development of that research park, the continuing success of that park. And let me just name a few of the businesses that will be the beneficiaries of the hotel. Take Flight, Needs and Wants, Zach Williams' new opening just across the street, the Art Gallery, Sketchbook, Complimentary Cafe, Village Inn, the 3 restaurants that will be opening in 8000 North, Alexander's. There's a new restaurant that's just opened, and have its official opening tomorrow, Atelier Kale. These are all men and women who have opened cafes, restaurants, in the case of Sketchbook, a brewery, in the case of Zach Williams, an art gallery, with the idea that the village is going to continue to invest in the downtown. The research park was in the end a very good investment from the village. Forest City put in $150 million If you give me $150 million, I'll give you 10 million any day of the week. I'm not good in arithmetic, but I'm smart enough to know that. Excuse me? I'm talking about the research part.
Yeah, where we knew the cost from the onset.
No, you're mistaken there. We did not know the total cost there. Many of these kinds of projects are prospective, and this is going to be a successful project. It is going to get funded, and it's important for the village to show leadership and faith in the future of the downtown. We did it with the train station. We did it with the research part. We've done it with all of the businesses that I just mentioned. And those businesses, in some form or another, have had financial support from the village of Skokie. And the same thing is going to happen with this hotel.
Can I just clarify? Our vote tonight, this is a one-time only vote. This is a vote to authorize.
To authorize the manager.
So this will not return to us for a second vote.
That's right.
So this is being introduced and finalized at the same meeting.
Right.
What? I think, well, there's some public commenters first.
I think the hotel would be a good thing for Skokie for all of the reasons that you said. I think nobody here disagrees about that. I think the concern is making sure that if something happens to the company, that we get our $4.5 million back, because it sounded like what Mr. Lord was saying, that there are other people who get paid before us. So having a piece of this partially built hotel doesn't help us. And the suggestion is to give them like almost a third of our yearly tax revenue, right? I mean, of the property tax, so isn't it set at like $15 million? It's frozen at 15 million? So
That is correct, that the property taxes are frozen at 15.4 million since 1990.
Right,
But
so
the
a
economic.
quarter, sorry, my math was bad.
No, but the Economic Development Fund is specifically a fund that is designed to invest in the community for economic development. And that fund is funded through real estate transfer taxes. And so when a property in town sells, there is a transaction fee that the village receives, and that is funding the Economic Development Fund. So it's not property taxes for the Economic Development Fund.
Okay, so then I take back that concern, but the concern is still like, well, where do we come in then to get our money back if something goes wrong?
And the intent is to have a package to resolve the outstanding amount, and so the package is not complete yet, so we can't respond to the specifics of that. But it's obvious that the village is interested in protecting the investment, and as the Corporation Council has stated, has a number of mechanisms that will be utilized for that.
The key that I think we should state again, and village manager can confirm, is that the money would not be released until you are confident that the rest of the package from the developer is in place.
That's correct.
So while there's appropriate question to say what is the shortfall and where is the shortfall, that's what staff's been working on, but it's sort of chicken and egg, so that if we can at least demonstrate that the village is willing to participate as an investor at that interest rate, then as the others step up to fill that gap, then suddenly the puzzle comes together. Yes, as to the ultimate question you raised, again, to clarify, major banks, when they put in tens of millions of dollars as they've committed in this project, want to be the first if there's a failure. And that's what we refer to as a subordinated mortgage. So we will be before any of the other investors, but we would be after the bank and after the bank's, the secondary bank if one's put in place. Does that clarify?
Yeah. So then the next sort of follow-up question is, what is the guarantee that this 4.5 million is gonna cover the shortfall and there aren't gonna be continued inflation prices causing more shortfalls and more delays? What?
That's what's being worked on. So there's really three different timeframes that I look at. One is the short term, the immediate, and so we're talking the next 4 to 5 months, and then you have a midterm, and then you have the long term. And so, it relates to certain money releases additional money, and so there's funding in place that is released at certain triggers, and so it's from start to finish, but there's a capital stack, and certain portions of the capital stack can be accessed, and then additional components. And so there really is a package, and the package is evolving, and so it's these developments are very exciting when they're finished, but they are a lot of work to make happen. There wasn't umpteen developers that were knocking on our door saying we'd like to have a hotel in the downtown. But Mark Meyer and E&M Development went and secured the Hilton brand for downtown Skokie and believed in downtown Skokie and is really working hard to make the project a success.
If I may add, can you speak to the GMP part of it? That we do have a GMP in place and that this is only the plus section of the GMP, so that beyond that, costs would have to be eaten by the developer.
Correct. There's contractual arrangements with the price not to exceed a certain level. If there is, then other people are responsible for funding it. Absolutely.
And then I just had one request, and this is to what you said, Mr. Lockerbie, where half of the interest that we would get from this loan, if it does get approved, would go to funding the sustainability projects or other things that the board considers important. And I would hope you strike the second part of that sentence.
I am not gonna lie, this is well beyond my wheelhouse, and I do not understand half of what I'm hearing. But I'm Kimberly Polk, I live in Skokie. I always forget to tell you that. Because my head is spinning. So it sounds like tonight we're gonna vote on giving someone a whole boatload of money for the details to be worked out later? Is that what I'm hearing? I mean, hearing that we're working on a package and this is the way things work, I understand. I'm saying I stand on my 2 feet and pound my fist when I know what I'm talking about, but what I am hearing sounds crazy to me. I mean, I'll borrow $100 from you. We'll work out the details later about how I'm gonna pay you back. I don't think the manager has the same money that but I actually, I mean, is that what we're doing here? Like the board, or would it come back to the board when a package is worked out for the board or the public to have some input on what this package would be? Or are we voting on an idea and then we never see it again and just trust?
The authorization with the resolution is for the village to spend up to $4.5 million as part of the package to continue the downtown hotel.
The package which does not exist.
There are a number of pieces to the package, but as I sit here tonight, I do not have the entire package finalized. The team doesn't, the developer is there.
But honestly, don't you think it would make more sense to make a vote on a package to say these are the things that are put in place to make sure that we're not gonna lose our money? How much sales tax revenue have you gotten on Carvana?
So the problem with the financing is that some decisions take 6 weeks, and so you have to build the capital, and pieces build on other pieces. And so if the village is gonna participate, it's important to signal to the developer that the village is going to participate. If the village is not going to participate, then we need to communicate that to the developer.
But then
and so the decision this evening is whether or not the village wants to participate.
But couldn't it be then the village is interested, but we need a complete package because our people are gonna go nuts not knowing how our investment is secured? I mean, is that an unreasonable thing to do in development?
It is secure.
As I understand it, we are being asked to authorize Mr. Lockerbie to create a package that we are comfortable with as an investment in the hotel. If Mr. Lockerbie is uncomfortable with the terms of the agreement, we do not go forward.
Correct.
So we are only suggesting and saying that you are going to negotiate up to $4.5 million on behalf of the village. If you feel it is not a good investment, when you speak to our financial director, you speak to our attorney and Nick for clarification and budgetary reasons, and this is coming from our economic divestment fund, which is what it's supposed to be used for. If all of you who are the budgeteers, I will say, feel that this is a good investment, then you will move forward. If you feel that there's a risk to the investment or it is too high an amount, you will renegotiate or pull out. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
I don't want her to have a heart attack. I would like to, something that still keeps ringing in my ear, and I sat in my chair for a long time, and if this moved along, I would have kept my mouth shut. Is it true that the developer is a donor to the caucus party?
I'm not aware.
May I make a comment?
It only takes $500.
May I make a comment?
Every 2
Hey,
years,
hey.
and she can
Mayor,
go to the orchard.
Mayor,
Donna Pugh is a donator, and she does your development. Anyway, it doesn't make much.
Mayor, may I make a comment?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't know who's a donor to the caucus party. I think it's irrelevant to this conversation. We are asking Mr. Lockerbie to do some good governance for this village. Addition to that, Mr. Lockerbie is not being bought by the caucus party, and I am tired of the integrity and the questions that are being put on.
Mr. Lockerbie doesn't get a vote tonight. I'm not talking about Mr. Lockerbie.
Don't think it's relevant who's part of the caucus party, because if you're a Democrat, Republican, Liberal alliance, it doesn't make a difference. We are here as trustees to help make the best decision as we were asked upon being voted on by this village of residents.
But you tend to vote together. It happens almost exclusively. You know what?
That's just insulting us.
It is
It-
comment later,
Yes. Let's stay on the project.
I am trying to stay on the project. I am asking, I was asking if he was a donor because I have spoken repeatedly. You can be as incensed as you want. I am a member of the public who has nothing against anyone as an individual. I am not the only person. I've sworn that I wasn't saying Carvana again. I'm going to say it for a purpose. When I was passing that petition, people said to me, it doesn't matter what you do, they do what they want, meaning the caucus party. I am not alone in my feelings. I have told you before that because I often get up here does not mean I'm the only one. There are many people who see what happens with this board and feels that it does matter. So whether you're doing something, whether realizing it or not, and I'm not saying you're a horrible person and you can feel insulted, and I am sorry for that. I'm not trying to insult you as a person or you as a person. I am being honest about the appearance of impropriety when it feels like we are constantly unheard by a block that happens to have the same label. I didn't mention Republican, Democrat, Independent, Liberal, or Alliance in this room. You did. I am not questioning. This is not us versus them of a political nature. It is an us versus them in that a lot of people who are not a part of the caucus party very often feel unheard and like our voices don't matter. And now you finished my public comment for the end of the night. I asked if the person was a donor because it goes along with everything I keep coming up here and saying, that there are repeated appearances of things that even just make you question, why is this happening? And like I said, when he said it, I sat in my chair. I didn't question it, and it went on. It's not leaving my head. I cannot help but wonder. And you can be as upset as you want about that, but you're on one side. I'm on the outside looking in. And you can get as incensed as you want. You can come over and you can throw things in my lawn. I don't live far from you. You can be
Please,
upset.
all right, let's,
I
Yes.
apologize for my introductions, but trustee ma'am, clearly you don't even read your own agenda. You just feel and you trust and we can change things as they go. Go to page 26. There's a hotel project promissory note from Skokie, Illinois for $4.5 million. Agreement to pay blank where the company name is, an Illinois Limited Liability Corporation, with the interest rates, I'm sorry, I cannot read a phone to save my life, interest prior to default, interest after default, the interest calculation, the payment terms, the principal and interest, the commencing on the first anniversary of this note, the unpaid principal balance of this note, application of payments, method of payments, late change, security, events of default, remedies, covenants and waivers, general agreements, governing law, amendments, no joint venture, disbursements, severable loan provisions, interest limitation, assignability, notices, consent to jurisdiction, waiver of jury trial, waiver of defenses, customer indemnification, expense of indemnification. All of this is a contract that's written up and ready to go for you to rubber stamp for $4.5 million. It's not John Lockerbie's gonna go see what's happening over there. It's in your agenda, ma'am. You have not read your own agenda and try to tell me that you did.
not ever accuse me of something that you are unaware of. I did read the agenda. I am quite aware that it's there, and it's clearly there so that we could see what we might be facing. It is a suggested promissory
No,
note.
it's an agenda item that you are approving.
Ma'am.
It is not a suggestion. I've been to plenty of public meetings. This isn't my first rodeo. I'm not gonna sit on the dais. My grandpa was on more boards and presidents of things than all of you put together. All right? I can say what I want. I am the public. I'm sorry, ma'am. You have not read the agenda. You have not read the promissory note when you're trying to play it out feely good to the public, like, oh, we can take a look at this. We're going to have a see. No, that's not it. You're rubber stamping it and you're approving it tonight. And that is what, people have said. You backtalked it. You backtalked it into something, softer, gentler, feeler. I don't know if any of you have read this full agenda. Have you read this full promissory note? Has he, the finance guy? Did he read the whole thing? Who wrote it? I mean, where were all the meetings? You did? Good. Thank you. Some of us are reading it.
yes.
I know there were, kind of to go back to some of my earlier comments, I know there's a lot of questions that we've received tonight and through email about whether this is a risky use of village funds. That's not really the question that I'm asking. I'm really asking whether this is an appropriate use of village funds. This is not necessary for the project. This project does not depend on this loan. And as our finance director said tonight, there is no applicable precedent for a loan quite like this. I know, Mary, you talked about TIF districts. So this is a very significant, I think, policy decision that has not been publicly discussed before tonight. And if we approve this tonight, it will not be publicly discussed after tonight. So I would say this is a highly significant policy decision that's being made in a single meeting without any prior discussion. I mean, if the board is willing, I know I suggested this with the Plan Commission item, but if the board is interested in tabling this item to allow for further public comment and consideration, I would support that.
Call the roll.
Trustee Sutker,
Aye.
trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
trustee Johnson,
I'm voting nay because I do not believe that this is an appropriate use of village funds.
Trustee Pure Slove,
Aye.
Trustee Klein,
I also vote aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes.
That completes my report this evening.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is report of our Corporation Counsel. Michael Lorge.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees. Good evening, everyone. Item A on my report this evening was part of the consent agenda approved at that time, and that would conclude my report for this evening.
Thank you. Trustee Pierce Slovan.
I would like to make some comments that I prepared. Is it new business or is it under public comments, Mayor?
Well, Trustee Johnson.
I was just gonna ask, I was just.
We're not there yet.
Before we get to public comment, could I just say something under new business? This was a discussion at our last meeting. I had requested an agenda item for our last meeting, and as we discussed at the last meeting, that item was denied again. Since October, I've been requesting that the board discuss and consider revising our appointment process for village attorneys. So I just wanted to provide a really quick update on this new business item. Since our last meeting, I've been in email correspondence with our village manager, mayor, corporation counsel about finally scheduling this agenda item. And it's my understanding that this item's been rescheduled for our May 15th meeting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. So at our May 15th meeting under new business, we're going to be discussing the appointment process for our village attorneys. And specifically, we're going to be discussing Chapter 2, Article 3, Division 5 of our village code. And I'm asking the board again to consider making this process more inclusive and more explicitly nonpartisan. Perhaps something that's more similar to our appointment process for village manager. So I'm glad this item's been rescheduled, and I'm just really looking forward to the discussion under new business at our May 15th meeting.
Trustee Pierce Slovan.
Am I under new business or public comments?
Doesn't matter.
I'm just curious. I want to do the appropriate thing.
New business.
Thank
We'll
you.
do it under new business.
Just want to make sure it was appropriate. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to express my dismay regarding what I consider divisive accusations within our village. More than 2 years ago, a Skokie resident asked if I would consider a candidacy for village trustee, as they thought, as a human rights activist who fights against racism, anti-Semitism, and hate in all forms and works toward a more inclusive society, I would be a good representative and advocate of the village residents and our professional staff. After numerous discussions and the encouragement of various residents, I committed to a candidacy for village trustee. Like my fellow officers, I was elected by the residents of Skokie via a democratic and just process. There were no backdoor deals or horse trading regarding my candidacy or election, which I feel has been insinuated on many occasions. As a duly elected official by the people of the village, I am committed to my computer just went crazy. I am committed to working toward an economically strong village which will benefit all residents. I am also committed to a well-thought-out fair housing plan, environmental sustainability, more green space, support of our first responders, and a myriad of other important issues. However, I am a proponent of process, and I believe that it is our best interest to wait for committee reports and recommendations before weighing in with my own opinion. Though my votes might not align with all residents of our village, I have been entrusted to make a decision for the totality of Skokie residents. My vote cannot be bought or swayed by any village employee or staff member. They are only there to answer questions and make recommendations. If anyone has questions as to why I voted in the manner of which I did on an agenda item, please reach out to me directly. I do not appreciate idle gossip and innuendos. While raising children, I imparted to them one important lesson: the importance of integrity. We can't guarantee our health or our wealth, but our integrity is ours to ensure and hold on to. For the past year, I have felt that my integrity has been attacked during some of what I consider political antics, and for the sake of good government, I ask that we cease this divisive behavior and work together as entrusted by those that elected us to serve this village and its residents. I will continue to serve our village to the best of my ability and to work ensure that Skokie continues to be a welcoming and diverse place to live. Thank you.
Public comments.
Okay, I mean, the official public comment, okay.
This is the official public comment.
Jerry Brozak, I live in the Optima Towers. I'm proud to live in Skokie. I didn't know we were going to talk about beauty today, so I'm impressed by all the hard effort to make Skokie so beautiful. I look east. I live between Gulf and Old Orchard. I see the graffiti on the underpass. It looks like a slum. When I have friends here, it looks like a slum. I know you guys are probably not in charge of the highway, but it'd be nice if someone would turn the screws to the state of Illinois to get the graffiti off, because it's embarrassing. It looks awful. It gives all my friends who visit me the wrong impression of Skokie. So,
It's IDOT and the Tollway Authority.
yeah, but you guys are,
So,
everyone
we
knows
will-
you, Mayor, and
we
what
will-
Mayor says is from God's mouth to other people's ears, so.
I don't know where that happens, but
Okay, the other thing, and I want to be very careful, I'm not making any accusations, I'm just have questions. I'm a 1960s style liberal, best described now as a moderate conservative libertarian. I'm friendly with Mayor Van Dusen, I'm friendly with Trustee Johnson, but I only agree with them about 1/3 of the time. And the other third, I'm doing my own thing. As a resident of Skokie, I benefit by democracy, and I'm hurt by the suppression of democracy. A one-party system is never good. We just have to look at China or Russia. We need opposing officials to keep an eye on one another. No, I'm not making any accusations, but I feel the suppression of democracy by government officials using government resources is never good, and it's the public business. There's no law that says these accusations have to be kept secret. Now, Trustee Johnson alleges that Corporation Counsel Lodge attempted to entice Trustee Johnson not to run as trustee by offering Trustee Johnson a Skokie government resource, which is a position in some commission. My question is that true? I'm asking Corporation Counsel Lodge, is the accusations that Trustee Johnson makes against you, is that true or false?
that has been taken up by the Ethics
No,
Commission.
but I have a question. As a public citizen, the ethics, I just have a question. Is it true or false, the accusations?
This is not the time or place to get into that, and I'm not going to get into a he said, she said here.
Well,
The
yes, you
ethi-
could. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting.
The Ethics Committee made a ruling. Anyone who knows me knows that I would never do such a thing, and I'm sure this is not the time to turn this into a debate or a courtroom.
So you're denying what Trustee Johnson alleges, is that correct?
Mr. Brosak, you received your answer. Do you have something else that you want to take up?
Yes, Trustee Johnson he read at the last meeting, public comments that accused Mr. Large of doing the same thing to other trustees. He referred to public comments and that people alleged that they were enticed not to run as trustee, and I wonder if that has happened on any other occasions.
Again, I don't know how far you are going to be trying to take this into a back and forth or attempting to make yourself a lawyer. I don't know of anyone who would ever say that I enticed them not to run for an office in any way, because the opposite is true. I am one who's engaged in community in many, many different ways. I encourage lots of people to be engaged, part of what I also have encouraged many people to do is to get involved in school boards and in community groups and faith-based relationships. I am someone for whom my entire life has been spent working and dedicated to the community, whether I was employed here or whether I was employed in private practice. And it would be inconsistent with anything I'm about or anything anyone could say that I ever told someone not to run for a trustee or a public office. It's just not, it's just
So
not
the
accurate.
allegations that trustee Johnson makes are false?
Mr. Brozak.
Yes or no?
Mr. Brozak, let's move on.
That's-
Move on, come on.
I want an answer.
You just got the answer.
I did not get an answer, but I guess that's as best that we're going to do, so thank you for hearing me. Have a blessed evening.
If I may, I don't want to get too deep into what just transpired. I do just want to really respond briefly. Both the mayor and the corporation council said that the ethics commission dismissed my ethics complaint. I do just want to note the incident Mr. Brozak was referring to. I filed an ethics complaint about this 2 years ago in April 2021. The ethics commission to this day has not reviewed my complaint in a legal meeting. They reviewed and dismissed my complaint in a meeting that the village has since acknowledged did not abide by the Open Meetings Act. And so I'm actually still waiting and hoping that the ethics commission will re-review this complaint in a meeting that abides by the Open Meetings Act.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Rachel Van Hoos. I like his politics. I think we're the same. I'm like socially moderate, libertarian, who I like the mayor and trustee Johnson, but I agree with you both about a third of the time. I liked his summary there. I'm there too. I want to, Mayor, remind you that I totally like you, and someday someone's gonna write a book about you. And I've been on a binge of Chicago historical fiction, and Trustee Johnson might be writing that book. You know, this.
No comment.
You said.
Maybe we'll co-author it.
Yeah. Well, this is true. A co-authorship. I'd like to see that. I came here to say a couple nice things. Oh, so you know, none of the rest of that I meant to come up except for questioning where's the 45 million from. But a couple of meetings ago, you know, public comment, I'm now realizing, you know, I want it to be like District 73.5. It's 3 minutes. Nobody replies. There's only 2 of us that comment, and there's only quick points of clarification. Things really tend to spiral here, and they sure did tonight. And I was going to come say, like, please don't reply. Give us our 3 minutes. But I've come to strangely enjoy it this evening. Anyways, I wanted to say that the composting drop-off has been incredible from day one. I haven't been to the SEAC meeting, but I've called the village every week or every 2 weeks. I said they're filling up. They doubled it. They put a 3rd one. They put a 4th one. I said the pizza boxes don't fit. They put a pizza box thing out front. You could easily double the number of sites that you have now. I have no idea how anyone on the north side survives at all, because all 3 of them down here on the south end are consistently full, especially on a Sunday night. So it's wildly successful. A little more education, like simplifying some things, would probably help some people, like don't put your food wrappers in, but you can put your paper towels in, right? I'll find somebody's like Greasy Wendy's, but you can put your paper towels in. It's going really wonderful and awesome though. Also, thank you. The text you sent out about local agriculture, you linked to my school, my kid's school. I'm just a parent volunteer, Middleton Elementary. The photos are pretty outdated. It is said it's a, you know, local food initiative that would imply it's being started, but it was founded in 2012, the outdoor vegetable garden, after a teacher, a 4th grade teacher, Arthur Gilbert, who passed away from pancreatic cancer, and his students built it for him. And the pictures that you see that you're village website link to is of the Pollinator Courtyard. It's been around about 8 years. It was funded by the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. And 2 weeks ago with our garden club, we already had bees out in our crocuses in a warm day. So I wish Middleton would have applied for one of those awards there, because we've been pollinating. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for all that. And
Hi, still Kimberly Polka. I said it 2 out of 3 times tonight. I'm pretty proud of myself. I wasn't here last meeting. I don't know if you missed me, but I think somebody did. I was watching live, and about 10 times I was texting someone in the audience and said, how many people are in line? I'm getting in my car right now. I don't want to call him out directly. I'll just say Mr. Cindy got up and thanked the board and patted you guys on the back, talking about how he appreciated your service. I think I have said, and I may not say enough because sometimes when I come up here, well, okay, a lot of times when I come up here, I'm upset about something. I do appreciate your service. I don't think you guys are doing it for the giant paycheck. I know what you're getting paid, the people who vote. But it's the experience of folks, you're gonna notice a theme here. It's the experience of folks like me who want to have active input in the community, feeling unheard. I didn't get in my car and people kept getting in line, because when I asked, there were 2 people in line, and I guess people kept getting up, and I kept thinking about coming. And I felt pretty good because I feel like that was expressed with later comments. But I do want to point out that the man who got up, who was appalled at probably me, and some other people getting up and speaking out, is the husband of somebody on the Plan Commission, is the husband of somebody who's on the board of the caucus party, is the husband of somebody who served on the TBI board, someone who's very connected. These are not accusations. It feels like there's a club, and then there's everybody else. And I don't think that you can be bought. It's not what anybody has said here. There's no innuendo. I'm not shy. I get up here. I say what I mean. I mean what I say. It feels like there's a club of people who feel the same way, who support each other. I support my sister, my friends, and things that they do. They may have a charitable thing, and I go do it. But I'm going to say, since I'm not going to say, I might send you an email, but no, I'll say it because you look very confused. There were some very hateful emails in the or very hateful messages on Nextdoor in the November election that you were responding to. So the fact that you brought up that you speak out against hate and you fight against hate, on paper, you're amazing. But these are the things that I'm seeing from the outside. I'm not going to go any further into that, but there were some really hateful things. I also want to clarify that from my perspective, there was a discussion regarding appointment of corporate counsel. And last week, Mayor, you repeated over and over again that it was discussed at the previous meeting. On the contrary, at the previous meeting, Trustee Kuhn had said, this is not the meeting to have this discussion. This is a vote. And I respected the way she presented it. Trustee Robinson, and I don't remember exactly what order it was in, but I was in the room. Trustee Robinson had said that he looked forward to having a discussion in the future, but he was still voting A. Aye. There was not a discussion the previous week. There was a lot of banter about Joe Biden and Pritzker and all sorts of other things irrelevant to Skokie, but there was not a discussion about the appointment process. I feel like 2 issues are being presented as one. At that meeting, Trustee Johnson specifically asked for, which seems to be glossed over, for everyone voting who has ties to the Corporation Council to recuse themselves because of an apparent conflict of interest. And I don't know if those were the exact words. It was treated as if they were asking to vote no, but we're telling you, one of your fellow trustees is telling you, but the public is telling you. I'm going to repeat right now. I did not vote for trustee James Johnson. Today, I voted in my first local election. I did not vote for trustee James Johnson. I didn't know who he was until February of last year. They are two separate things, but I was going to skip that because you said there's going to be a meeting, but I can't follow my notes. The last thing I just want to say is I hate getting angry, but this is to the mayor. I feel like when I come up here and I say something, there's a constant lecture or rebuttal, and then my head explodes, and I look like somebody who I'm not proud of when I leave. You're about to do it now. Sometimes people don't need a rebuttal, and they just need to feel like they're being heard.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, trustees, Corporation Counsel, Clerk Shaw, and Mr. Lockerbie. My name is Richard Ivanitz, and I'm a resident of Skokie since 1998. I attended the March 7th Village Board meeting at which interactions occurred between members of the public and the presiding officer over the appointment of Scott Berman to the Plan Commission. During that meeting and in response to members of the public questioning the diversity of the Plan Commission, Mayor Van Duzen pointed out that Mike Shaw was a member, he was a commissioner, after which a public comment decried the mayor's quote-unquote tokenism for citing Mike Shaw as a commissioner. Mike Shaw is a decent man, a good man, one who cares deeply about this community. And I'm sick that he was used as a political prop during the March 7th meeting. He served faithfully and honorably as a commissioner, and I'm glad as a member of this community that Mayor Van Duzen is appointing people like Mike Shaw who care about Skokie and are dedicated to it. To imply that Mike Shaw is a token member simply because of his heritage is a deep insult to his commitment to Skokie and his qualifications as a commissioner. I noted on tonight's agenda his resignation from the Plan Commission. I wanted to publicly thank him for his service. During that March 7th meeting and again tonight, there were many more interactions between the public and our elected officials, which resulted in a debate among members of the public and the elected officials that, in my view, reflected badly on Skokie's reputation as a model of good and effective government. These meetings are meetings of the trustees, clerk, and mayor, held in public for the public to view and comment, not to enter into debate with our elected officials. With all due respect to the citizens who spoke during the March 7th meeting, who spoke tonight, I respect your right to be heard. In fact, you want to talk it out? Let's go to sketchbook, first round on me. But you are not elected to debate the issues with our elected officials during a village meeting. As a citizen of the village, I feel like allowing that kind of debate to occur leads to chaos and is not in line with the good government that this village has enjoyed for many, many years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I got one last thing before we adjourn. I saw that look. I want to congratulate Mayor Van Duzen on the CMAP Award of Excellence that was awarded to him this week.
Thank you.
And we are very proud of you.
Thank you. Well, what makes me most proud is that I was nominated by the village staff. And I'm very proud of our staff, and the fact that they have that kind of regard for me is what makes me feel very good. And Kimberly, what, you know, you can't, it's very hard to try and cut it both ways. I will listen to anybody and what anybody has to say. But to then say I shouldn't react then what I get, and I hear this occasionally, is why don't you answer people's questions? Why don't you react? So I have to say, no matter what I do, I think it's going to be wrong. But I certainly would never, in any way whatsoever, want you to think that I haven't heard what you've had to say, whether we agree or we disagree. But I do think that sometimes I do need to explain why I'm doing what I am doing. And that is not in any way meant to deter you. I don't think you could be deterred, actually, so I won't even put it that way, but I do appreciate your coming. So with that, Trustee Sutker,
I move we adjourn.
we are adjourned.